Chapter 39. Bhumika. When the conch sounded, Bhumika was prepared. She sat in her room in the rose palace with the window lattices thrown open. She listened to the bellow of sound echoing over the Hirana, over the city that flickered already with burning light. It was difficult to trace the path of fire, but Bhumika tried nonetheless. The strongest light lay close to the Mahal itself, in the district that housed the wealthiest of Ahiranya. All her husband's advisers, high-born Parijatvipuns, merchants, the oldest high-born families of Ahiranya, her uncle. She turned and met Kalida's eyes. "Summon the servants to my room," she said quietly. Now was the perfect time. The guards would be busy ensuring that the Mahal was secured. They wouldn't question a handful of women and children running for safety, especially not when Kalida was so clearly escorting them on her kind-hearted mistress's orders. She waited, listened to the distant screaming. In her mind, the sangam flickered, full of Ashok's fury and pain, wet with blood. The servants and children were ushered in. They looked at her nervously. Some of the younger ones were weeping. "The city is burning," said Bhumika without preamble. "The rebels have attacked those they consider a threat to Ahiranya and its potential freedom. And everything and everyone else, the wooden houses of Hiranaprastha, the residents, even the innocent servants of the Mahal, were acceptable collateral to her brother. They will attack the Mahal. They will perhaps break the perimeter. And they will come for us." She looked at each one of them. "I promised you when I gave you a place in this household that you would be safe. I will not allow this night to break my vow." A breathless silence surrounded her. Even the children had quieted. "You will have weapons," she said. "I have bows for those of you who used to hunt before you came here, axes for the strongest of you, daggers for the smallest. Kalida will guide you on the preparing boiling water and oil that can be thrown over the walls if need be, but I hope it will not come to such measures." "It will," a voice said. "Lady Bhumika, I am sorry, but it will. We have a traitor." One maid, Gauri, dragged Rook forward by his arm, dropped him to the ground. His shawl was gone. His bare, rot-ridden arms were encircled with leaves, spines of sap prickling from his shoulders. "Tell her," said the maid. "Tell her what you told me." "It's my fault they'll beach the Mahal," the boy choked out. "The rebels asked me to spy for them, to watch." He faltered, mouth failing to work. "To watch someone and find a way in." "To watch someone, of course." "Oh, Priya." "And did you find a way in as they asked?" Bhumika said, keeping her voice calm. "Sometimes the guards don't watch the doors properly," he said. "Sometimes when supplies are brought in, I eat in the kitchen sometimes, and I see sometimes a person could slip in. I told the rebels that." "Those rebels will not be slipping in like thieves," said Bhumika, thinking of the fire, the smoke, the blunt force of Ashok's rage, rending the city. "Nonetheless, you have betrayed the household that has cared for you, Rook." He flinched. "I'll accept any punishment you think is right, my lady," he whispered. "And what punishment should be given for assisting in the killing of innocent servants in this Mahal? For the deaths of my husband's men and perhaps the regent himself?" The boy swallowed again. He did not want to say it, but she waited. "Death," he said. "My death." "Your death is coming for you swiftly, whether I arrange it or not," observed Bhumika. "That sacred bead around your wrist cannot hold at bay the rot I see in you." He bowed his head. Another maidservant pushed forward. "He's with us now, milady," she said hurriedly, her hand coming to rest on Rook's shoulder. "Surely that's all that matters. He's only misguided. He's just a child." Priya had saved this boy. Bhumika knew that. This dying boy who was young and silly, and the maidservant who was Priya's friend was standing and watching Bhumika warily, her posture radiating defensiveness. Rook's expression, when Bhumika looked at him, was somehow just as brave. His small hands curled up into fists. "I didn't have to tell you the truth, my lady. I didn't. No one would have known, but I didn't want anyone here to suffer. I've always wanted to do something good, something important." There was a hunger in his voice too big for his years. "I helped the rebels because I wanted to fight for something. I wanted my life to matter, but here... Again he paused. Simma's hand tightened on his shoulder. "No one has ever protected me," he blurted out, "or been kind to me, and here you... Some people are." He had not said Priya's name, but her name was written on his face and his words regardless. "Whatever the punishment, I'll take it," he said in his wavering voice. I'll even die, my lady, but I'd rather do whatever I can to protect the Mahal. That's what I'd like to do." "Then this is my punishment to you, boy," Bhumika said. "If you wish to make a difference, you will do so in my service. You will serve me loyalty until death. There will be no more betrayals. You will be my creature until your last breath. You will swear it upon your soul and your life?" Beyond him in the shadows, figures moved in through the door. She saw a gleam of silver, thin as a sickle scar. "I will," he said. "Vow it." "I vow it, Lady Bhumika." "Good. If you betray me or mine again, you will die." "Yes, my lady," he said in a small voice. Simma's hand finally loosened on his arm, her own shoulders relaxing. With that resolved, Bhumika looked at the people still surrounding her. They had very little time. "You'll be shown your weapons," she said, "and you'll be shown what to do. The soldiers will direct you," she added, inclining her head at the man standing at the door, his arm cuff of command glinting, his white and gold armor pristine. He nodded, gestured, and his men fanned out. Khalida helped Bhumika settle comfortably upon the floor cushions beneath the open window that allowed in the smoke-tinged breeze. She was surrounded by roses, growing in profusion in their clay and lacquered jars, flowers, sweet and delicate, peeking from their thorny vines, twining from the gardens up to her windows, soft, feather-leafed plants, dripping from the flat roof. Every single one had been grown by her own careful tending, by her hands, and most importantly of all, her magic. Every time she breathed, they moved with her, as if her own rib cage were their soil, the home of their roots. There is power that is showy and fierce, and there is power grown slowly and stronger for the time spent braiding the ancient strength. An old lesson from Elder Saroj. Bhumika held it in her mind's eye as she waited. "Ashok," she whispered, "come for me, and we'll see who is stronger."